All right. Welcome to the Run.down. My name's Jeff, aka Frank Barrett, 11-9. And we just got done watching the Knicks. I don't want to say take a beating, but they ended up losing by 9. I thought they showed some really good fight at the end of the third quarter, to get it. I think they took the lead there for a little bit. But they kind of ran out of gas in the fourth quarter and also just got outplayed, which shouldn't be too surprising to too many people given the things we talk about here every single freaking night. I'm going to let you guys carry the show because the truth of the matter is I don't have too much to say about this game that I haven't been saying for a year now. It's the same thing over and over again. And it's going to keep being the same thing until something changes. Going through the box score, we got RJ scored 30 points on 18 shots. That's good. I mean, he had 37 and 5. This is as good a box score as you're going to see from RJ Barrett these days. And yet he was last on the team in plus minus again. Now, hold on. This isn't to say he had a bad game. What this does say to me, as much as you can infer from one single game plus minus, is that the rotations that we're deploying night in and night out are not maximizing some of the players. I believe they're maximizing 2 players right now. Maybe 4 if you want to include Sims and Hardenstein, because no other coach would give them 48 minutes consecutively. But I mean, this scheme and this rotation, everything is designed to maximize Brunson and Randall. That is Tibbs' ship. He is going to go down with that ship. And so we're starting second and fourth quarters with RJ plus the bench. Newsflash, when players come off your bench and they only play minutes together, they're not going to look as good. No team does that anymore. It's not a thing anymore. So it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy so that Tibbs can just go back to the starters. That is almost what it feels like he has in mind. And once again, they struggled to start the fourth. And so to me, the main story is Obi Toppin. 14 points on 5 of 7 shooting. He was awesome in that first half. Played 11 minutes. And that's not an accident. That's what's going to keep happening. He shouldn't be on this team. The Knicks should look to trade him. I feel very confidently about that. We're doing him a disservice. This coach is doing him a disservice. We are failing him as a franchise. And fine. I mean, if you don't think Obi Toppin's worth, if you don't care that we're failing him, you don't think he's good enough to give any prioritization to, I don't think that's definitely wrong. But at the same time, this team didn't have to be a win now team. Tibbs could have created a paradigm where wins and losses almost didn't really matter. I'm not calling for a tank. But what I'm saying is he could have had his cake and eaten it too. He could have gone after wins, but there's a world where we're going after wins and the minutes deployment is such that fans feel like there's development happening and that there's something that we're building towards. This team right now is building towards nothing. And I don't care what anyone says. This is a pointless season. As long as the minutes stay this way, as long as the offense is run this way, all we're learning right now is that Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle can put up all-star level production as 1 and 2 on a team, but it doesn't matter because they won't win anything. The second we get a star, they're going to play in a completely different style of basketball. None of this will matter. We're not helping RJ's development. He's basically a third banana. Okay, great. Obi, that's gone. This is just, I'm not saying the sky is falling, but I'm just saying these are pointless games. These are just, we're not trying to do anything good except win. And that's my point. That's my point is that when you coach this way, and you rotate this way, and you say, well, I'm going to do what I have to win. Okay, we're going to judge you on wins and losses then. And for the second straight season, he's failing in that regard. So yeah, I mean, you guys are gonna probably hear our cat who, yeah, he likes to meow. As long as this keeps up, Tibbs is going to be judged on wins and losses, and great, we're approaching 500 again, and that's that. So those are my thoughts on the game. I hope you guys have more comments and thoughts, because I'm going to get to each and every one of them. Type whatever you want until you guys stop commenting. I'll keep going until you guys stop commenting, because I do love talking about this team, and I hate being negative. So I hope somebody in here brings more positivity, because yeah, that'd be nice. First comment is Brian Benjamin. Thought we'd see more Obi and Randall since the Raptors play small. Yep, that would make too much sense. But I mean, look, I tweeted out from the Strickland account. Ask anybody who's a pro Tibbs guy why he won't do it, and you'll get the same answers. Our rebounding won't be great, and we won't be able to protect the rim. And you know what? When Mitch is playing 30 minutes a night and you're trying to build a foundation around what Mitch does, that it makes sense. I still think that Randall and Obi should play minutes together, and I still think every other coach would play Obi and Randall minutes together just to get your best players on the court as much as possible. But I can at least buy it. When your two centers are Jericho Sims and Isaiah Hartenstein, one guy who won't be in the rotation when we're fully healthy, and another guy who is definitely not as good as Obi Toppin, those excuses don't mean anything, because we're getting blitzed on the defensive glass, and it's a layup line. Like, so yeah, I like Jericho Sims' switchability. He was awesome against Siakam on a few possessions, and he was great on Van Vliet one or two possessions. That's what Sims brings that Obi doesn't bring. And by the way, shout out to Hartenstein. He had 6 stocks. He had a lot. 5, 3 blocks and 2 steals. So he played one of his better games. But we gave up 125 points in regulation. This defense wasn't good. This wasn't all the reasons that you're told, oh, well, we can't try Obi and Randall for long periods of times. It won't work. That doesn't matter anymore with this paradigm. This is the time to try it. This is the time to play it for 5 straight minutes each half and just lock it in. Say hey, for the next 10 games, you guys are going to sink or swim. Good luck. It's not the time to... How many guys out of the rotation tonight who are usually out of the rotation played more than Obi? So Fournier, who will go back to being out of the rotation, played double the minutes of Obi. Great. Jericho Sims played triple. He'll go back to being out of the rotation when Mitch is healthy. Or Hartenstein, if Tibbs likes what Sims is bringing, Hartenstein, who will go out of the rotation, played 4 more minutes than Obi. So that's 69. Nice. 69 minutes from 3 guys who effectively don't really matter to the long term of this franchise. Not being a little hard on Jericho Sims, but they definitely don't matter as much as Obi Toppin should matter, who we used a lottery pick on. So yeah, long answer there, but Brian, I thought so too, and then you followed it up by saying, guess Tom would do anything for love, but won't do that, which is play. Yeah, I agree. All right, Bernhard. Jesus, Chris Broussard. I'm losing my mind. Chris Bernhard with the next comment. I wonder if there's footage of Jericho Sims boxing out and grabbing a rebound at the same time. I don't know what footage is harder to find, that or real Bigfoot footage. The Knicks need to get a center. I mean, they have a center. So I sort of disagree with that comment. Mitch is really good. He was playing at, definitely defensively and all defense level. And look, here's one thing I will say. Everybody knows what Mitch brings on the defensive glass, and everybody knows what he brings as a rebounder, specifically an offensive rebounder. But I think what would surprise people to learn is where he's actually making his biggest impact right now is offensively per the stats. So I'm going to bring them up right now. So if you sort by team on offensive rating right now, we actually score the most points per 100 possessions when Mitchell Robinson plays. When Mitchell Robinson plays, we score 118 points per 100 possessions. And when he sits, we score 110.8. So we're a little over 7 points better per 100 possessions. He's not close to as impactful as like Julius is, who, I mean, we fall off a cliff when Julius and to a lesser extent Brunson sit. But what Mitch's offensive rebounding does for this team mitigates a lot of the stuff that we like to talk about. Because as Ben Ritholtz said on Twitter a few days ago, and actually, you know what? I think it was Prez or Ben, one of the two, or maybe both. When the ball sticks and you shoot a lot of shots, at the basket or from that mid-range area, it forces the big to commit and to be a little bit less, to be more vulnerable on the defensive glass. And Mitch just feasts off that. Like, he's arguably the best, if not the second best offensive rebounder in the league. That's how he scores the majority of his points, those in lobs. And so, yeah, that's where we miss him. The Knicks have a center, and I think they just tried to invest in another one, Hartenstein. It hasn't worked out. And it hasn't worked out because, do I think Isaiah Hartenstein is a bad basketball player? No. Do I think Isaiah Hartenstein is a bad basketball player playing for Tom Thibodeau? Yes. Because Tom Thibodeau doesn't know how to do anything other than what he knows how to do. Like, every other coach would say, oh, shit, like, I've got a couple guys hurt. How can I build a new game plan around the guys I have? No, he just takes these triangle pegs and tries to fill them in square holes. And that's why Evan Fournier didn't work, even though, Evan Fournier is a good basketball player. It's probably why Cam Reddish, how many guys do we have to see just get banished because they don't specifically fill the role that Tom Thibodeau has for their position before we realize that, he only knows how to do one thing. Long answer, but I don't think we need a new center. I think we need to adjust around the players we have right now because we have good basketball players. And I think this game would have looked different if Obi Toppin played more than 11 minutes. Which you follow up by saying, what the fuck? Why Obi only get 11 minutes? Yep, I agree. And then Brian follows up again by saying, but Hartenstein can get 15 while being the worst. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, man. Got a lot of comments. I don't understand Tom's line of thinking. Yep, I just said that. And last comment from Brian, our defense isn't doing anything because we don't have Mitch, so we need a score, but he isn't adapting. Yeah, I agree. Chris Bernhard looks like he's reacting to my comment. He said, I can't stand plus minus as a stat due to the fact that it covers the whole team, not specific player, but box plus minus is a better metric, but it's still meh. Yeah, that's a really good point, Chris, and I should have said that when I was talking about it. There's a lot of noise in all on-off statistics, or all those stats, even the advanced ones, because, like you say, they're dependent on the players around you to a certain degree. But that doesn't mean they're worthless. Single game plus minus is pretty much worthless, and I should have clarified that. But there's a reason that guys are just consistently impactful. There's not a lot of noise if you look at season to season. Emmanuel Quickley has pretty much consistently been the Knicks have been really good when he plays and bad when he doesn't play. Whether he starts, whether he comes off the bench, whoever he plays with, that's what Emmanuel Quickley brings. And yeah, you can take a drink. I brought up IQ. But obviously the Knicks missed him tonight. So I agree with you, though, and I think that's a good point. I shouldn't have been so liberal talking about single game plus minus. That was unfair to RJ. I didn't even mean it as RJ hate. I meant it more as disparaging the rotations and how just ridiculous it was that as shorthanded as we were, the Knicks had Grimes, Randall, and Brunson play all of the first and all of the third. And what do you know? The 10th and 11th men in the Knicks rotation couldn't play together. That's not surprising to anybody. It just shouldn't be, at least. If you're going to have to use your 11th man, let him play with people who might be able to elevate him a little bit more. Deuce McBride isn't going to elevate Evan Fournier. That's not how basketball works. Like, so I just feel like I'm just continuously saying the same things, but we're seeing the same problems, and that's, All right, next comment. RJ is him. Agreed. Brunson is him. I agree in general. I don't think he was him tonight, but that's okay. Obi awesome from the bench. Randall was beast on the boards, but way too many turnovers and missed free throws. Yeah, I like this comment in general. I like the positivity, Jordan. Appreciate it. I don't think Brunson played his best game, but that's okay. I mean, he's Mr. Consistency. He's allowed to have a bad game. Obi played 11 minutes. That sucks. I agree Randall was a beast on the boards, and like he was oddly efficient. What did he finish the game? 8 of 14. He only took 14 shots. And still ended up with 23, 19, and 8. Like, I don't know. That's I don't know what we're supposed to expect from him. At this point, he's just printing out these games. And yeah, RJ, I mean, he was getting wherever he wanted. He probably drew a few fouls that weren't called. Like he has a really weird whistle, because sometimes I feel like the refs predetermine that they're going to give him a call, and I'm like, man, there wasn't a lot of contact there. But then other times I feel like he makes more contact look normal, and they don't give him the whistle. So he has one of the more inconsistent whistles that I've seen in the league, and it's frustrating. Regarding the last point, yeah, way too many turnovers. It wasn't even versus the zone. The Raptors were blitzing, and the Knicks are just not good at handling that stuff. It's because their two leaders, Brunson and Randall, wait too long to make the pass. They want to make a pass that leads to a basket. That's who they are right now. And that's not the best way to deal with an aggressive defense. You should be having lots, as the lead initiators, if you're getting blitzed a lot and you're getting doubled, you should have lots of hockey assists. That should be the goal. You want to make the pass that leads to the pass, because you're starting the scramble. If you wait too long hoping to make a pass to a wide open guy that leads to a basket, you're allowing and inviting more pressure and pressure from different angles, and it leads to an increase in turnovers. And yeah, I thought we saw more of that from Brunson and Randall tonight. I thought they did a really bad job handling pressure, and it's just something they have to get better at. And I think they will. Tibbs needs to be fired after this season. Yeah, I mean, what can you do? I don't know. I can only say it so many times. I mean, that guy will die knowing 100 times more about, NBA basketball than I do. So like, it's a weird thing to talk about, because there's so much going on that like I don't know about and that he does know about. And so like you want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But there's also so much low-hanging fruit that he doesn't really seem interested in grabbing. And like it's not like fringe low-hanging fruit. Like, oh, like this could be debatable. Like, no, like Obi Toppin shouldn't be playing 11 minutes tonight. And if you think that's like a reasonable minutes distribution for Obi Toppin, then we just will never see eye to eye. And that's okay. Like, it's a beautiful thing about the game. You can look at it multiple ways, but in my opinion, the Knicks are not good enough or close enough to winning to be just absolutely lighting that kind of development and that kind of the chance to raise their overall ceiling on fire. I don't agree. And the funny thing is go rewatch the start of that fourth quarter. Obi didn't do anything. It was an Evan Fournier turnover, an RJ turnover, and Evan Fournier missed corner three. It was so funny. They had two subs before the timeout. So 2 minutes into the quarter, Deuce came out for Brunson. Like, the Raptors went from 88-88 to 94-88. And it was a Fournier missed shot. Ball goes out of bounds, and Tibbs is like, oh shit, we're losing our grip on this one. Got to get Brunson in. Why can't it be Brunson for Fournier? Like, Fournier is the reason that we're losing the grip right now. But he just doesn't think like that. He's just like, oh, well, I need Fournier out there for whatever reason, because he's my quickly for tonight, which is weird. And then, a couple more minutes go by and the lead stretches to 12 and Tibbs calls timeout, and he's bringing Randall back in. And it's not going to be for Sims, which is too bad, because it very well could have been. Obi deserved it tonight. Ooh, here we go. Here's an interesting one. Deuce is horrific on offense. It kills me. I don't know why Tibbs just doesn't sub Brunson out early in the third so we can hide. Yeah, perfect comment. Deuce, that's 100% right. And you know what I appreciate about this comment? And I hope, anybody watching can use it as sort of a, just a way to think about, basketball and just rotating like this and just life. He made a bold claim. Deuce is horrific on offense. Yeah, that's not that bold, but he made a potentially polarizing claim. And his answer wasn't just, okay, get him out of here. It wasn't trade him. It wasn't like, oh, he doesn't need to play any more minutes. There's no more. He can't get any better. It was, how do we mitigate this? How do we keep moving forward on the development train, but figure out how to because he's hurting us right now. He is hurting us right now. That's indisputable. But maybe he would be hurting us less if he was playing with one of Brunson or Randall. Maybe if he got some of those minutes, he would get more into the flow, get more open shots, and this isn't like we got to build around Deuce. But as long as he's in the rotation, he needs to be someone that you're trying to maximize. That's the goal of basketball. You're trying to maximize the team. You're trying to maximize all 9 of your guys. And that's not happening right now. Hawkeye420, our reg said, "What's good, Jeff? Shout out to you for actually doing this solo instead of enjoying the rest of your Sunday night." Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I love talking about this team as much as I can be negative sometimes. I don't want to be. But I do think it's because I think we as a team right now are just leaving meat on the bone, and I just feel like there's an opportunity here, just like there was last season. And by the way, all the same people who would be like, dude, shut up, you're just Tibbs hater, yada, yada, yada. They sat and watched as we went 3-17. And the whole time, people like me and people like Sam and people like Tyrese were saying, oh, well, maybe we should just start quickly. Maybe Obi should play more. They were like, oh, Tibbs knows best. All the same stuff that they're saying now, they were saying last season. And that was proven right. So I just don't get it. I don't understand how the people it's almost like they, they went the whole offseason and their brains reset or something. But I don't understand how any of this is defensible. I don't understand what the goal of it as a franchise is. Do they think they're going to win multiple playoff series? Okay. I mean, I hope they are right if that's what they think. I don't think they are, but it certainly seems like that's what they think, because there isn't a more rigid team in the league right now in terms of how they rotate, in terms of just how they run the offense. It's just the same thing every night. And yeah, I guess that would work if you had an MVP or you had a couple elite, all-stars on your team. Excuse me, because I know Brunson and Randall are in the all-star discussion, but lock all-stars. But this is a team that's young. The average age of the rotation is under 24. We should be emphasizing that. We should be there should be more balanced minutes. There should be more rotations and more lineup distributions. We just need more. This team isn't good enough to be doing the same thing every night. And I hate that I have to keep saying that. I really do. I appreciate you, Hawkeye. I'm doing the best I can. I don't know how good I am at this, but I appreciate all you guys for pulling up and commenting. Love what I've seen from Sims. Yeah, I agree. And it stinks because when I talk about Obi, it seems like I'm crapping on Sims. But I don't mean it that way, because I agree. I agree with you, H22. Sorry, my eyes are bad. I agree with you. I think that I don't think he's a rim protector right now, or much of one. I don't think he's too much better than Obi would be if you put Obi down there and he was allowed to use his athleticism and his length. But I do think he's better. And I think he's more active on both glasses than Obi would be. Although I think the Obi rebounding stigma right now is more him just being on the perimeter on both sides of the ball. I think he could be a good rebounder very easily. And I think he has it between the ears to be like a good team rebounder. Like if he was more frequently down low, I could see him hunting box outs more. But that's a different story. Back to Sims. The thing I like most about him is his switchability defensively, and I wish we'd use that more because, like I said earlier in the stream, he guarded Siakam, he guarded Van Vliet. He does a good job whenever he switches. I don't know how high the ceiling is because I don't know where the leap comes from. I don't think he'll ever have the weird, like the really unique length and just freaky stuff that Mitch has to be like a Mitch level impact player at the center position. But he does do a lot of really interesting things. Remember earlier in the season when he was playing power forward, which was like ridiculous, obviously, because this was another missed opportunity. We could have just seen how RJ did as a small power forward, or we could have played Cam, but I digress. When he was playing power forward, other teams would try to exploit that by ignoring him because he's not going to shoot a three. So what he adjusted to doing was anytime he got a kick out and his defender was in the paint, he would dribble into a handoff to the guy on the wing and then screen for his defender, and that guy would be able to just walk into a pull-up three. And that's just really intelligent. You can tell the way he processes, the way he grabs a rebound, and he's always looking to push, or he grabs an offensive rebound, he's always looking to kick it out. You can tell he's just an intelligent player, and that matters a lot. So thanks for the comment, H22, and I agree. I do like what I've seen from Sims. Hawkeye 420 said Fournier being in the fourth as long as he was is all that needs to be noted, in my opinion. Game was easily lost in that stretch. Shout out to Tibbs for shout out to Tibbs the infallible. Yeah, I agree. 21 minutes was too many for Fournier, especially when Deuce only played 10. And that's just a great example of like what we talk about in here a lot is that like just why couldn't it have been Deuce and Brunson? Why every time you had to rush Brunson back in there? Because like Deuce plays next to Quickly all the time. That's where he plays like 100% of his minutes. So why is it so rigid and they have these roles that are carved out for them in the pregame? Why can't we adjust on the fly? Because Deuce, say what you want about his offense. And a guy who commented earlier, I apologize, I forget your name, was right. Deuce is hurting us on offense. But like Fournier was 0 for 5 and brought terrible defense in the first half. Why did he play more minutes? And Deuce was our best defender. Why couldn't it have just been Deuce who stayed out there a little bit longer? Like small decisions like that don't matter. We wouldn't have won this game if Deuce played, 5 more minutes, but they do matter long term. Like these minutes add up. You think 5 minutes isn't a big deal, but 5 minutes every night, like that's 400 minutes across the season. Can you think Obi playing an extra 400 minutes in a season wouldn't matter? Definitely would matter. So yeah, Hawkeye, good comment. Jordan Bub reminds you a lot. Drop a like. Appreciate you, Jordan. Hawkeye 420 said Sims had a terrible fourth quarter. Absolutely roasted on the boards. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to beat him. I mean, Jericho Sims shouldn't be playing 33 minutes. That's just it's the truth of the matter. Like he's shown good things, and but he played 33 minutes. Guys are going to be tired. Again, just like I was saying, 5 minutes might not seem like a big deal, but they add up. It works the other way too. You think that Randall playing, 300 less minutes in a season wouldn't help him in some fourth quarters when he's clearly gassed? Of course it would. I mean, and we're already starting to see it right now. What have we been bitching about for the people who come in here all the time in our post games? What do we talk about with the rotations with Emmanuel Quickly? Well, first it was he didn't play enough. correct. He was not playing enough. Now he's playing over 30 minutes a game. But because he's a bench player, his path to 30 minutes a game is one 15-minute shift in each half. One 15-minute shift per half. That is ludicrous. That's not a rotation. That's not what anybody does. I saw earlier today, Reggie Bullock tonight this afternoon for the Mavericks played. Let's see how many minutes Reggie Bullock ended up playing. Reggie Bullock ended up playing 32 minutes. 32 minutes. How much you want to bet he did not play two 16-minute halves? I mean, if he did, more power to Jason Kidd. I'd be very surprised. But I watched the game, and I'm pretty sure he came in, came out, came in, came out. And I always use the Bucks as an example because I think they're the standard. But go watch a Bucks game. Go watch the Knicks Bucks game when they're all healthy. You have Connaughton, you have Bobby Portis, and now you have Joe Ingles. You have those three guys. They're bench staples when the team is fully healthy. All three of those guys' minutes will be in the mid-20s, less than Emmanuel Quickly was playing. And yet all three of them will play multiple shifts and a half. Giannis Antetokounmpo, their star, comes out at the 6 or 7 minute mark at the start of each half every game, almost every game. That's his normal rotation. Because Budenholzer knows that the best way to get the best out of his players is multiple short shifts. Instead, Quickly is just playing on tired legs at the end of every shift. And it's cool he's playing more because him playing more is better than him playing less, but it's still not an ideal rotation. It's not a rotation at all. So, back to the comment. I know I go on tangents a lot, and I apologize for that, but Sims shouldn't be playing 33 minutes, and there's ways to – he's probably gassed in that fourth quarter, and there's ways to get him 30 minutes in a game that isn't, that's shorter shifts and allows for our guys to have more energy in the fourth quarter. And there are multiple issues here, all compounding to lead to that moment in the fourth where Tibbs just tosses the starters back in there. There's so many different things going on, and they all need to be fixed, or we're going to just keep saying the same things over and over again. Hawkeye 420 said, Obi being this great of a soldier for this team, I don't know if this is the right analogy, is insane. How he hasn't punched Tibbs yet is commendable. I mean, hey, I'm not going to, purport violence. That's, Tyrese allegedly would agree with that. But I do agree that Obi is the ultimate soldier to the point that it wouldn't surprise me if he just extended for cheap here. How much does he just love New York? I can't believe he hasn't said anything. I can't believe he doesn't have anybody in his camp who hasn't said anything. It's ridiculous. I can't believe Randall hasn't said anything. If you're Julius Randle and you're the team leader, Tibbs loves you. Tibbs relies on you. And Obi's cooking like he is in that second quarter. Why don't you go over to Tibbs and be like, yo, let's try me in Obi right now for a bit. Let's keep Obi out there for 10 minutes instead of 7. I don't know. I feel like somebody's got to say something. Somebody's got to say something. Jordan Bubb said, Tibbs' defense scheme is being shredded like paper, and instead of adjusting like any other coach, he just keeps using the same system over and over again until it works. Yeah, 125 points isn't good. And yeah, coaching the same way that you do when you have Mitch, when you don't have Mitch, probably isn't ideal, is what I'd have to say about that. I did really like the stretch I thought the middle stretch of the game, the start of the second through the end of the third, I think we only allowed 49 points. Does that sound right? 49? Because they scored 37 in the first, I think. Let's check it out. Sorry, bear with me here. I'm bad at this. Oh, there it is. Yeah, they scored 37 in the first, and then, they scored 49 in the middle 2 quarters. I really liked the energy there. You just saw it. You saw they were engaged. You saw they were locked in. They were moving on a string. And it showed you that what Tibbs schemes, it can work. But it can't be the only thing because teams are smart. and they're smart as they've ever been. This is as efficient and as good as offense has ever been. They're going to figure it out. Like, even the Raptors tonight, they showed multiple looks. It wasn't just one thing. So, yeah, sometimes you have to switch. You can't just always play drop. You can always play drop when you have Mitchell Robinson because he's that good. But when you have Isaiah Hartenstein, who, once again, had 5 steals and blocks, like, I'm not going to say he was good. He was fine this afternoon. But you still can't do that. You're going to get shredded. Tibbs would probably be a fire year too late rather than year too soon. Yeah, I mean, I would have fired him at the end of last season, and I don't think it's close. I think what he did at the end of last season was about as harmful as it can get as far as coach and franchise go. I don't get how there were people defending what was happening at the end of last season. It was ridiculous. Like, we were 3 games under 500 or whatever on the second to last game of the season, and he started Alec Burks at the point guard. Like, I would love to sit down with him for 2 minutes and just be like, what was the point of that? What was possibly the point of that? Obviously that'll never happen, but whatever. Eric Fernandez said, it's so annoying to watch the Clippers play Robert Covington at the 5 or the Mavs playing Dorian Finney-Smith. Meanwhile, we were afraid Boucher is going to bully Randall and Obi. Yeah. To give Tibbs, this isn't giving him credit, but that's not the only thing he's afraid of. The other thing he's afraid of is if our point of attack defense isn't great, then Obi and Randall will seed layups as opposed to seeding like mid-range jumpers or floaters. And my answer to that would be, well, we saw last game what happens when our point of attack defense isn't great. DeJounte Murray gets in the paint and Isaiah Hartenstein seeds 10-footers, wide open 10-footers, which to NBA players are basically layups. So I don't think that's a good excuse. I just do want to point out that, this isn't the 90s. He's not really afraid of getting bully balled, by a big. He's more afraid of perimeter guys getting layups. And I just still would disagree with that. And I would disagree with that even more if I were allowed to suggest that instead of playing drop, like, his argument would be Hartenstein and Sims in drop are way better than Randall and Obi in drop. And I agree with that because especially Randall, but I mean, we haven't seen enough from Obi. They're not good in drop. But why are those the only 2 options? Why can't it be Hartenstein and Sims in drop versus playing a more switchy defense with Obi and Randall? That's what the debate really should be. And that's what a coach should think about. You should think about multiple ways to attack an offense. And it is inarguable that what Obi would do for Randall and the rest of the offense if they played together and we had all that space in the middle is way better than what Hartenstein and Sims are doing. It's inarguable. So you have to ask yourself, are what Sims and Hartenstein doing in drop coverage and on the defensive glass, do they make up for that in comparison to what Obi and Randall could do in a switch defense? And to me, it's not even close. To me, it's not even remotely close. And this is one of the pieces of low-hanging fruit that I was talking about earlier that I think this team is just missing out on huge. So yeah, thanks for the comment, Eric. Hawkeye 420 said Brunson stinks against Toronto, though. They're the kryptonite. Yeah, I think it's length. I think he's just always going to struggle with, they have the whole 5 forwards thing or Van Vliet and 4 forwards thing, and they don't really play too much drop covers. They switch, so they're not afraid of putting, a forward on Brunson. And, he's not like a lightning quick point guard. He's not going to punish a forward with quickness. He's always about guile and creativity. And, he's got his bag. And even without OG Anunoby, that's just not going to bother these Raptors defenders. But here's the thing. I hate to always bring it back to Tom Thibodeau, but it's a Tom Thibodeau thing. He would look a lot better if his one job to do wasn't just relentlessly run high pick and roll. If there was any creativity, if there was any sort of play design that could maybe, free him up and get him a little bit more of an advantage, he might look a little bit better against this team. Blood of the Panda said Tyreek took this episode off, huh? Yeah, I think he's just celebrating Sam's birthday in his own way. They're. I think he actually said like something about him and his dad doing dinner together or something, which is cool. I'm enjoying talking to y'all. I'm sure those of you who have pulled up before, I kind of like the sound of my own voice, which can probably be annoying, but hey, at least here I can, I have to talk. So we got Blood of the Panda laughing at Tyrese. Blood of the Panda saying, salute bro to Hawkeye 420. Good shit. Hawkeye 420 saying salute back. All right, this is going to be a really good comment, I can tell. All right. I'm actually going to add to what Eric has to say here, but he says, also, I'm getting frustrated with Grimes these last few games. I love him, but he's been getting punked by Fred VanVleet and Trey these last 2 games. So, yeah, his defense hasn't been great these last few games. I mean, long term, I don't think we want to be down on Grimes because when you show what he's shown as a shooter, as an attacker, like he had that pass to Sims tonight after attacking closeout. That was just, I don't think anybody else on the team makes that pass. Like, he had some good moments tonight. But yeah, his defense has definitely tapered off a bit. No question about it. I will say in defense of him, when literally your job is to be put on an island against the other team's best perimeter scorer night after night after night, there is some volatility to that. Like, you're basically not allowed to have an off night, which, yeah, he shouldn't, like, especially if he's putting all of his energy to defense. But he's 22 years old or 23 years old. Like, he's supposed to have speed bumps, That's he's not at his prime. So I do agree with being frustrated with, like, the microcosm of his performance, of his game-to-game performance these last few games. But I'm not worried about it long term. The thing that I'm more concerned with, I will say, he really doesn't seem to like to shoot threes after he's missed one. And something I noticed, like a few weeks ago. Like, I think he's still really struggling with balancing attacking the closeout versus just being a pure sniper. When, like, I know Tibbs wants him to be a sniper, which, like, credit to Tibbs, he should want him to do that. But Grimes is like, hey, like, I've been working on, my handles and my finishing around the rim. Like, I want to showcase that too. We saw Quickly struggle with it a little bit last season. And he's still struggling with it a little bit this year. I wish Quickly would shoot more. But tonight, man, there was a couple when there was one possession, which I hope some of y'all remember, but it was in the fourth quarter. And Randall created multiple open threes for Grimes. Maybe not like wide open, but like he should have shot. And Grimes pumped on both and then dribbled into nothing. And I was watching and I was like, man, like you should have shot both of those. Like, and if you're not going to shoot, you have to make something happen. So yeah, I mean, just from like a mental standpoint, that worries me because I want him to have 100% confidence that he can just shoot every time. Like if I was Tibbs and I saw Grimes do that, I would just pull him aside in one practice and be like, dude, like you have to shoot. Like I want you shooting every single time. I don't care if you're 0 for 10, go 0 for 11. Have that Dion Waiters attitude. Like I'd rather be 0 for 21 than 0 for 6 because if I was 0 for 6, that means I stopped shooting. Quentin Grimes should never stop shooting ever. And like I do agree. I'm not saying that his attacks don't have value. They do. But I just want him to scale those back just a little bit and shoot more because like this guy needs to be shooting, 8 threes a game or maybe 10 threes a game. I'm sure I'm going to look right now and see he shot 8 or 10, but he shot 6. He's got to shoot more. And hey, we won Grimes' minutes tonight. We got to get fired. Tibbs trending blood. Yeah. I don't know. Haters will blame RJ for this one though. Eric Fernandez. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not super in touch with the the whole Twitter scene. I would have a hard time blaming RJ for this one though. That's what I'll say. I'd have to watch his defensive effort. I know he was once again a little weak on the glass. There was one Fred VanVleet layup when he really just the bare minimum amount of the bare minimum nudge just moved RJ off out of his way basically. And I was like, come on, RJ, hold your ground a little bit better than that. I mean, yeah, he's got to round out his game a little bit more, but again, he had 35 and 4 on 16 shots. He is not the reason we lost this game. Hawkeye 420 asks, Jeff, can you check Grimes' defensive metrics since our 8-game win streak ended? If I recall correctly, he missed that first Toronto game. I don't know if his defense has been good since that injury. So, I think on cleaning the glass, I could isolate for that. I don't have it open right now. I'm just going to see what it's looking like on the season right now. So on the season, and remember, he gets hurt kind of because he's a starter, but on the season, the Knicks have a 111.5 defensive rating when he's on the court and a 112.2 defensive rating when he's off. So that's really encouraging actually, because I mean, who are the players that Grimes plays with the most? Brunson and Randall. And Brunson and Randall have by far the worst discrepancy. So the Knicks allow 116 points when Brunson plays, and they allow 104 points when he sits. They're 12 points per 100 when Brunson sits than when he plays. And Randall's pretty close to that. So the fact that those two can be 12, they can be minus 12, and Grimes has found a way to still be a positive, means that when he separates himself from the starting lineup, he's really showcasing what he can do. So that's the best I can do for you right now, Hawkeye. And again, I don't think we have too much reason to be worried. I think Grimes is who he is, and he's going to be a good to great defensive contributor for a long time. And I think his ceiling is more so dictated by what he becomes on offense. Blood of Panda said, I've been trying, bro. I'm still on the island, but I don't expect it. And then he followed up by saying they aren't even maximizing Obi's trade value. Yeah, I agree. Bad Eyesight said, I think we moved the ball well with RJ as the focal point. Yeah. And I thought we moved the ball well to start the game. I thought we really came out. I mean, how many assists did we end up having? We had 20 something, right? Holy shit. The Knicks had 30 assists tonight. That's a lot. And I agree that there were some good minutes when the offense was run through RJ, because he was really, again, this is a very simple offensive system. It is completely reliant on collapsing the defense and either getting an easy basket or starting a scramble that gets your teammate an easy basket. And say it again, that is why Julius Randle is so important to Tom Thibodeau, because he is the best Knick at causing that, at starting that scramble. He collapses the defense better than anybody. And tonight, RJ was doing that. RJ was getting wherever he wanted. He was getting to the basket at will. He was scoring efficiently. And eventually, the Raptors had to treat him like they were treating Randle from the start. And that is why the ball movement looked so good at times when RJ was the focal point. Thanks for the comment, Bad Eyesight. Hawkeye 420 said Tibbs and optimization, maximizing just don't go together. Yeah, I mean, that's actually a good point. And I know you meant it as kind of Tibbs slander, but I'm gonna try to spin it in a more optimistic way towards Tibbs, even though it's probably not optimistic. He's just always gonna be a high floor guy. He's always guarding against the worst case scenario. So to him, it's the same reason that he started Alfred Payton for an entire season, because he could control and predict the style and the type of output that Alfred Payton was going to give him. There was less volatility to it. Now, that doesn't mean that's good. That's not like that obviously was not a defensible position to take. Alfred Payton was terrible. Legitimately one of the worst players, like that version of Alfred Payton. I know Payton on the Pelicans was fine and whatever, but that season's version of Alfred Payton was legitimately one of the worst basketball players I've ever seen. Didn't try on defense, didn't shoot. He shot like 45% inside 5 feet, which is insane. Yeah, he was just awful. So, but Tibbs is always going to look for what gives him the most consistent median. And so, yeah, he's not looking to, raise the ceiling. He's looking for guaranteed production. And that's, once you understand that that's how he views the world, it sort of helps you understand why he makes some of the baffling decisions that he does. I look forward to your involvement in Knicks on One tomorrow, assuming you have the time. The combos tomorrow will be something. Yeah, Sean does a good job. I don't see why I wouldn't be there, but at least for the beginning. But yeah, it's a good show. Anyone who, is busy or is looking for something to do during the day, maybe you're at work and you want to listen to something, there's a good spaces at 1 the day after every Knicks game. So check it out. Hawkeye again said, I think talking about talent in the way you did is fair, Jeff, because you actually acknowledge that they aren't being used optimally. I wish I remembered what I was saying. I have such a bad memory. But yeah. I mean, I agree with you with what you're saying in a vacuum. Yeah, I mean, all I can say is I agree with you, because I don't remember the specific point I was making, but I mean, I made it, so I assume I agree with myself. You continue. Okay, not a lot of Knicks content creators speak like that. It's either gas up the guys who have it going one night and chalking it up to luck, or Tibbs can't be blamed because we have zero talent. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying now. My mistake. I should have finished the comment. Yeah, there's a lot of once you kind of dabble in Knicks, Twitter with all the content there is out there, there's a lot of agendas out there. And I would kill to wake up in 2 weeks and get laughed at for thinking that Tibbs should have been fired. Just like I feel really good right now about the fact that I was almost certainly wrong about what I would have given Julius Randle away for during the summer. I hope Tyrese laughs at me, every day for the rest of my life for that. Now, man, I keep saying that, but sorry guys, I'm by myself here. This is kind of a rough draft or whatever. I've never done this before, so I'm probably repeating myself a lot. But anyways, I still think, despite how good Julius Randle's been, if you assume that Tibbs is the head coach for the future, I still think you could make an argument that trading him is best for the franchise. Not even from an Obi standpoint, but just from a Tibbs and Randle just don't go together at all, clearly. Your ceiling is so low when the two of them are together, because there's just no room for other people to flourish. So, even if you don't believe in Obi, you could make the argument that just Obi being in the starting lineup with RJ and Brunson potentially elevates RJ to a degree that matters more than whatever Randle will do for the Knicks. That's a really pessimistic way to look at it regarding Randle, and I don't want to make that argument. I think he should get all the praise in the world for how he's come back from that awful season last season. I hope he makes the All-Star game and he's putting up the numbers that he still might, even if we lose a lot of games before the All-Star game. But I just do need to point that out there. I admit readily that I would have made a pathetic trade during the summer if somebody offered it if I was GM of the Knicks and somebody was like, hey, I'll give you a protected first for Randle. I would have been like, yeah, take him. We're going to start Obi. And that would have been wrong. Obviously, he's worth more than that. And my original point was I would give anything to be wrong about Tibbs. I think everybody should view basketball and rooting for the Knicks that way. Like, your agenda is not more important than the team you root for. And that's how I always view it. So appreciate the comment, Hawkeye. Ace Bouchard said, it kind of sucks that we lose Mitch's defense and don't really have a decent offensive boost option at the 5 to replace him, because we know the defense is going to drop off significantly. Yeah, I agree. I disagree. I think that Obi and Randall at the 4 and 5 would be a significant offensive boost. Well, excuse me. I think it would be a significant offensive boost from what we're getting right now. I don't think you might not have been here earlier when I said it, Ace, but Mitch has the highest individual offensive rating on the team. Like, if you sort by individual offensive rating when they play, we don't score as many points with anybody on the court per 100 possessions as we do with Mitchell Robinson. So, like, it's not like he was some defensive specialist that was giving us nothing on offense. His offensive rebounding is one of the most valuable individual skills on this team. And so would Obi be able to replicate that? No. But would he be able to bring something meaningful that could approach it? I think he could. And I think I think this is the time you try that, because we're 25 and 23, and like, this team's ceiling right now is the 6th seed. That's what this team's ceiling is. So we can either chase the 6th seed and have Isaiah Hartenstein and Jericho Sims fail at being Mitchell Robinson, or we can try something new. And we can see if there's a higher ceiling with a different approach to the game. To me, anybody who's studied range of outcomes, anybody who understands that kind of stuff, understands that it's no question. You have to try that. But Tibbs doesn't agree. Hawkeye said, Jesus, Tyrese celebrating Sam's birthday in his own way. Yeah, I was just talking out of my ass. I wasn't implying anything by that. Hawkeye then said, bro, so much dribbling into nothing happened in the 4th, let alone the entire game. Maddening to watch. Yeah, especially when we were facing a zone, right? Like, what were our most successful possessions against the zone? It was when the team put somebody in the middle, and then we passed through the guys up the top, and then the guy in the middle made something happen, especially RJ. RJ was really good at making something happen from that middle spot. And somebody said it on Twitter today, but when you see guys like Brunson and Randall over dribble, it does beg the question if they're doing it because it's natural to them, or if it's because the way Tibbs wants them playing basketball. You know, he wants them to dribble into a shot or to collapse the defense. But I don't get why we're not adjusting when it's a zone. And then Hawkeye finished with saying, thanks for the insight. Hopefully it's just a rough stretch recently for Grimes. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I just don't think there's much reason to be worried about Grimes. I think what I was saying earlier about Tibbs and how much he likes like a safe, predictable median, it correlates very heavily with reasons he loves Grimes so much. Because Grimes, in my opinion, is a very safe prospect. And I think we can be rest easy knowing that Grimes is going to be here for a long time and give us what we hope he does. Bad Eyesight said, just for the purpose of the roles they're being asked to be played, what about Obi for Nasir Little swap? Little on a fantastic contract. You asked this before, I think, or if you didn't, somebody else did. Or man, maybe you asked it on another show. I don't know. I watched the Macri postgame show sometimes, so maybe you asked it there. But I remember thinking, and I still think that is selling awfully low on Obi. Even if you're right about, even if your whole presumption is right, which I think it's possible it is, like we'd be getting a wing, which is valuable. Like it is entirely possible that Nasir Little could be more valuable for this team than Obi is. I still think that we can just get more for Obi. There's somebody out there who believes in this guy's ceiling. He's shown enough. Ace Bouchard said Knicks should still trade Randall as soon as possible. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's tough. I don't know. There's just like the fan side versus the rational side, and I mean, Randall's just that type of guy. You have to question, like, what is his ceiling for contributing to a winning team? What is like the best, and not just any team, because like obviously if Randall was traded to like the Mavericks, he wouldn't go to Dallas and be like, oh, I'm the guy. This is my fucking team. You know, like that's just not what he would do. So all the stuff we kind of pine for Randall to do from a role player perspective, it's easier to see him doing it for another team, especially a team with like a superstar like Luka. So back to my original question, what is the ceiling for a Julius Randle Knicks team? Because you have to think that as long as he's here, he's going to play this way. And for him to make playing this way work, he has to really play well. And like, he has to shoot well. He has to make decisions well all the time. And like, what does that team look like? I don't know. I don't know how far we can go. And so when you consider that, is there merit to just saying like, okay, he's rehabbed his image. Our ceiling's low with this guy and he's a wonderful individual player. Let's send him somewhere where they can capitalize on him and sort of fit him in better to a higher ceiling outcome. And then we can also raise our ceiling by getting assets back and freeing up room for Obi. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying I do think there is merit to thinking about that. And then he followed it by saying, give me that protected first. I'm still taking that trade. Hawkeyes watching the football game. Need the Niners to beat Philly. Hey, man, game's not over. Probably won't happen because the Eagles are disgustingly good. Niners just keep copy-pasting quarterbacks. Yeah, I mean, this game's coming down to the wire here. I mean, Dallas gets a stop, they'll have the ball and a chance to tie it up. So, Hawkeye, do hope my negative Nancy prediction of 0-13 the stretch doesn't happen because this has been brutal so far. All right, so if you weren't here the last time, and I think if you don't mind, Hawkeye, I know you've got a few more comments. Yeah, all right. So I think I'm going to end here. All right, I'll show you this comment that you just said, Hawkeye. Suns are probably the only team that we can trade Randall for. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I do think that's the trade if we make it. But I'm going to go back to Hawkeye's comment about this stretch, and I'm going to finish here. If you weren't here for the last post game, we went through the schedule, or Tyrese did. So let's do that one more time. Through the All-Star break, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 more games. Cleveland, at Boston, at Brooklyn, Lakers, Heat, Clippers, Sixers all at home. Then at Orlando, at Philly, Utah and Brooklyn at home, and then at Atlanta. So we've got 5 road games and 7 home games and 11 playoff teams and the Magic. I mean, look, I don't think the Knicks are going to go 0-12. That's not how basketball works. If we go 0-12, like just even going 3-17 over that 20-game stretch last season was ridiculous. It was stupid that happened, and that like never happened. So going 0-12, which would mean we went 0-16 to end the All-Star break, that would be ludicrous. That's not going to happen. But these games, at the same time, these games are not inspiring hope because there aren't many wins. Like we're going to need teams to shoot really bad from 3, injuries, rest, whatever. Like even with that, I guess maybe the Nets without Durant, maybe they're getting killed by the Warriors right now, if I recall correctly. Yeah, we can beat Orlando in Orlando, but like they've been hanging in there versus good teams. I don't know. I mean, 12 games. What would my real my I said last night that I would have signed up for 5 and did I do math wrong? Because I could have sworn Tyree said 5-9 last night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. No. Okay, so we have 12 now. Well, whatever. So we've got 12 games. I would sign right now against those 12 opponents. I would sign for 5-7. We'd go into the All-Star break 500. That would be great. What's a more realistic outcome? Probably 4-8, maybe 3-9. Like, just no Mitch. We're not gonna have Mitch back for any of these games. And we see how the defense looks. And we see what it looks like when we don't adjust. So I don't know. It's tough to be too confident in the macro right now. And I'm gonna end it how I started it. Will, yes, I do. I don't think the Knicks are gonna trade him. I'm gonna answer your question, and then I'm gonna say what I was gonna say. Yes, I do think that RJ will be here long term. I think the Knicks love him. I think he loves being a Knick. I do think he's here to stay. It would kind of make me sad if we traded him. He's kind of like the first lottery pick to work out. And he hasn't really, he hasn't made an All-Star game or anything. I know some people be like, oh, he hasn't worked out. But, it just still feels good with RJ. And I hope the Knicks keep him. But to finish the thought that I interrupted myself with, it's hard to feel good about the micro right now. And that's why ignoring the macro is so, for a team that ceiling was already this low, is so detrimental. Because I think most Knicks fans were excited about embracing the macro. And I think that if you had told them that Grimes and Quickly, would have increased minutes, and our rotation would be as young as it is, I think most people would be excited. But we're still seeing what they're doing night in and night out. And we're still very much aware that there's just so much more they can be doing as far as seeing different lineup combinations, getting Obi on the court more, going small. How many times do we have to open up the NBA.com lineup combo thing generator and just make up a Knicks lineup that we haven't seen any of? How many times? How many minutes? Let's do it right now. How many minutes have Brunson, Quickly, Grimes, RJ, and Mitch played together this season? How many minutes? Let's see. I bet it's 0, which is insane, by the way. That's a really good lineup. That's a lineup that should be used. Bear with me here. Just think about that lineup. I'm going to repeat it again. Brunson, Quickly, RJ, Grimes. So Grimes, RJ, and Mitch. So you go a little bit smaller, but you still have Mitch in the middle. This is a lineup that you could use to give Randall a reprieve, if the rotations work that way, or maybe at the end of a game that Randall's struggling. Yeah, this is just a lineup that has a lot of merit. And I would bet that we have not seen it yet. So we will check the tape, but I am going to remain very confident as I scroll through here and see that I'm not seeing it even listed. So somebody wants to prove me wrong, but I don't think that, hey, we got another late comment. Mino says, what's good, Jeff? Didn't catch the game. Just wanted to say what's up. My friend was at the game, though. Hey, thanks for checking in on the post game. You didn't miss much of a game. I was just ranting about Tibbs stuff, which I'm sure you expected if you're a frequenter of the post game. And I think I'm going to end it there. William asked, and Randall. I don't. It seems like Randall's here to stay. And you know what? If he's playing as hard and as good as he's playing this year, I don't know if we can be anything but excited about that. So, yeah. I appreciate everyone who pulled up. I did my best for 70 minutes to talk. My voice is a little raspy. I've never really done that before. Watching the Cowboys not, oh my God, they just lost the game basically. Yeah, I'm going to wind it to a close. And again, I appreciate everyone for pulling up. I hope I didn't butcher it too hard. Oh, crap. I forgot my duties as a host. All right. Let's do our duties here at the end for the few people who are reading. Hey, guys, the NBA season is heating up, and there are still so many unknown. Who's going to win the championship? Will it be the Nets with Durant missing games? Keep watching. When I'm looking to get in on the action, I bet with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can bet just $5 pregame money line on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Download the app now. Sign up with code TBPN. Place a $5 pregame moneyline bet on any NBA team to win the game and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's code TBPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. There you go. I did my job. That's good shit. That's good stuff. Yeah, this will make you for a good rewatch. We have our links at the bottom of the description. And, like, subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000. I hope you guys will like and show some support. And I'll see you guys we play the Cavs at home on Tuesday. So I will see y'all Tuesday night. Peace.